possibly as early as tomorrow afternoon of onshore flow. It's going to take a little bit of time to scrub out that smoke, which we know that puts a damper on fire ops. And then once that scrubs out, then things will start to move again. But very steep country right up in there, and it should start to make a push towards Big Bear itself. Obviously, gaining speed on it.
Is there any opportunity for them to stop the fire anywhere out in here?
So, as in regards to areas of opportunity or whatever you want to call them, if you want to call them that, if you want to call them management action points, I would say no. The only thing that would provide any management action points or areas of tactical advantage would be where we have a slope reversal. And so basically I wouldn't call it drainages. I wouldn't make that an area of tactical advantage, but I would be looking for ridge tops and start focusing on those areas. Are they going to be fire stopping? Probably not, because these dozer lines or fire breaks or fuel breaks, from the 60s, 70s, those are long gone and haven't been maintained to any large extent. So we'll just be looking at ridge tops and hoping that we can paint them first with aerial equipment and then get boots on the ground to follow up in behind that on those ridge tops.
So are there any ridge tops between the fire and Bear Creek that could be used?
I would say no. I wouldn't.
All right.
They haven't had enough time to prep that whole area.
Got it. So if the weather conditions exist to move the fire past Bear Creek, they're going to be fighting it up here at the top of the ridge.
Right, it's going to be going through that, and I could show you another graphic that gives you an example of what happens if you want to focus in onto Big Bear itself. And Tim did a great job talking about
before we get there. Yeah, before we get there, how about the west side of the fire here, out towards Lake Arrowhead? There's a major ridge here that comes down.
Right. So if the fire managed to get pushed today, because we're not dealing with much wind today, so it's basically a fuels-driven fire unless we start to get some cumulus buildup over it. The winds seem pretty variable on today's forecasts. But if it was to get seated in that bowl there to the west because of some cumulus outflow winds, then definitely it's going to make a run up towards Lake Arrowhead, up the various chimneys that head up that towards Rim of the World Drive.
So this ridge here that we see, this ridge is right here behind City Creek Fire Station. That looks like that's been used in the past. Has that been used successfully in the past?
I would bet that's one of those original fire breaks, fuel breaks from years gone by, or it could be associated with a previous fire.
Yeah, and so they didn't hold the old fire there, though. The old fire's here in blue.
Right. Held it at the ridge on that. And if it's any wonder what the wind stream dynamics are that are going to push this fire around there, right up on that ridge on Rim of the World, it's a huge paragliding spot that they all jump off of and then paraglide down to San Bernardino every day. And so you can see exactly what that wind's going to do, that fire, once it gets established in those drainages.
Okay, so do you want to talk a little bit about the kind of more specific fire behavior potential around Big Bear Lake?
Yeah, so let's keep our fingers crossed, and I've got high hopes that the crews are going to be effective. But looking at your graphics that you have there, and you can see right there's Bear Creek